Video games inspire wonder at the concepts, locations, and characters they contain. Their complexity can be daunting, and they might cause confusion when a story says one thing now and another later. I'm Justin Newlam. Let's ask some questions. Azeroth's wild gods are spirits of nature, powerful beings that take the form of wildlife, such as birds, bears, or boars. This classification has changed over time, and now many of the Troll Loa and all four of Pandaria's August Celestials are considered to be part of this group. While most of them take forms of animals, such as Goldrin the wolf, Niuzao the ox, and Shadra the spider, others like Cenarion and Aviana are part animal and part humanoid. So, are the wild gods animals? The explanation behind their forms lies with their origin. The first wild gods rose from the study of Azeroth conducted by the Titans. While each of the Titan Forged had different jobs to do, the Keeper Freya's job was to monitor and guide the growth of nature, both plant and animal. To facilitate this, Freya shaped the Emerald Dream to let her better control the nature she was studying. She made 3 special areas with water from the magical Well of Eternity. These 3 areas became Ungoro Crater, Sholazar Basin, and the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. Apparently, the wild gods simply emerged out of these locations where nature and arcane mixed, and Freya adopted them as her children. Because of this parental bond that Freya had with the first wild gods, she bound them to the Emerald Dream and charged them with protecting the natural world that she was cultivating. It is unclear how many of the wild gods were from these early times and had such a direct contact with Freya. Eventually, a crisis at the Titan facility of Ulduar caused her to join the other keepers there, where they would remain trapped until the time of the Wrath of the Lich King expansion. In the time that Freya was gone, several more new wild gods arose, and some, like Cenarius, seem to have their animalistic traits give way to more humanoid ones. Malorn is the father of Cenarius, and while some traits of stags can be seen in Cenarius, it is clear that his mother Elune affected quite a unique biological change in him. Eventually, Cenarius produced children in the form of the Dryads and the Forest Keepers. Furthermore, one of his sons then became involved romantically with an earth elemental, and their children were the Centaur. This process of their children becoming the mortal races seems to be tied to several of the younger wild gods losing their animalistic traits in favor of more humanoid ones. Other examples exist of the wild gods having children that eventually become a race of humanoid mortals in Azeroth. The Tauren are a playable race with a lineage that connects them to a wild god, as their ancestors, the ancient Yungol, were the children of Niuzao. The Pandaren similarly may be descended from Ursoc through their ancestors, the Furbolgs. The Quilboar are descendants of Agamagan, and the Murlocs are possibly descendants of Kragwa the Frog Loa. Aviana is said to be a descendant of Elune, like Cenarius, and is the matron of Harpies. Together, these examples really further the idea of wild gods becoming more humanoid and less divine as their generations continue. As the original wild gods were the result of Freya's experimenting with the mixing of nature and the arcane power of the Well of Eternity's waters, this appears to have imbued the wild gods with this strange tendency to beget increasingly humanoid offspring. This seems to derive from the powers of the well that they inherited, as this was also a phenomenon caused by its waters to turn some of the tribes of trolls into the Night Elves, and then further turning some of the Night Elves into the Highborn, all due to exposure to its arcane power. So while the very first wild gods were very much animal in nature, their offspring seem to have constantly changed into more and more humanoid and mortal creatures. Yo! Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and leave a comment so I know you want more videos like this. If you want to know when new uploads arrive, subscribe and hit the bell icon to have YouTube send you a notification. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.